Welcome to the Code with Jason meetup. I'll share my screen and get us started. It's another SaturnCI day. Things are picking up steam with SaturnCI, and I'm very happy about that, of course. I've started to have users getting onboarded onto it. Some months ago, I put out a tweet and I'm like, hey, does anybody want to try this thing out? And I think maybe I got like one response. Um, but then last week, I put out another tweet about the same thing and I got a whole bunch of responses, like 15 responses or something like that. And so I've been getting people onto the platform, and in the process, I've been uncovering problems. Um, Here is kind of the main screen of Saturn CI. Let me delete this runaway build here. This is the main screen. This is what it looks like when everything's working. But the problem is that people get onboarded, they integrate a project, and that works just fine. Um, but then it's not quite easy yet to configure your project. And people have been running into issues that are a little bit mysterious to me. And I don't always have access to their code bases. I certainly don't always have write access to their code bases. And so for I need a way to get under the hood and like troubleshoot their problems and be able to make modifications to their code without actually having access to their Git repos. Um, so what I would like is a way to conveniently SSH into a machine. Like when I run their build, I'd like to get the build started and then be able to SSH into there so I can poke around and mess around and see if I can figure out what the problems are. Now,
I have a question on that.
yeah,
Just so I understand, if you're going to make changes on the server, are these changes going to be blown away and then rewritten every time they do a push or a
right.
deploy?
It's purely for troubleshooting. The changes would get blown away when I
Okay,
close the session.
okay,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, cool.
Yeah. Um, okay, so I actually made such a thing months and months ago, and naturally, since I haven't used it in many months, it doesn't work anymore. So today I want to revive that feature. So the way it works is it's a command line interface, and the command line interface, the CLI, can do a number of things. Um, One thing it can do is just like list your builds and runs and stuff like that. And then it also lets you conveniently SSH into any run that you want to. But again, it's currently not working. So let's dig into that. Okay. So here's an example of how it's supposed to work. I should just be able to run like Saturn CI builds, but when I try it, it says connection reset by peer. And I don't really know what that's all about. So I went onto the console and I kind of manually initialized a request object. And when I send it, I see the same thing here, connection reset by peer. So let's figure out how to get to the bottom of this. First of all, just to make an observation, um, connection reset by peer is an error message I've seen a number of times over the years. But I don't really know what it means. So I'm just making that observation that I don't know what that means. Do I need to know what it means? Maybe or maybe not. But I'm just making the observation right now that I don't know what that means.
I
Okay.
think it could mean more than one thing.
Okay.
And what I think you could, what the meaning that I first think about it when I hear is that it was somehow forcibly closed. That something
Hmm.
started and got to a state that was okay, and then had a retrocess, like it went back down. So like something went right, and then it's like, whoops, something catch, and then sever that connection.
Okay. Um, and another global comment is that sometimes when these kinds of things occur, what I want to do is pinpoint the problem. Sometimes what I want to do before I even try to pinpoint the problem is to add more like observability or add more robustness or something like that. Because sometimes if you just fix the symptom, then you're still left with this kind of fragile system, and the issue may arise again. Um, so maybe part of what I want to do is add more robustness and observability. But I'm not sure yet. I think I'll have to have a firmer idea of what's actually happening before I can make that decision. Okay. So I think what I want to do now is figure out exactly where this problem is happening. So I see on the right there it says API request line 21. So let's look at that. Okay, that's here. Um, Now, why could this be happening? I think I actually asked ChatGPT why this could be happening. Um, Server side issues. The server may be experiencing problems that are causing it to unexpectedly close connections. Check the server status or logs if you have access. Or network issues. So the first question to ask is just like the very obvious question of like, is the server even up? I know it's up, but I'm gonna do this anyway. HT, yeah, there we go. App.saturnci.com. Ha! That's funny. Okay, so sometimes checking the like dumb obvious thing is actually worthwhile because I'm like, I know it's up, but like it's not. I can't ping it, which is interesting because I can visit app.saturnci.com. So it's fascinating that I can't ping it. What if I do curl? What happens?
Yeah, you might want to ping without the HTTPS though.
Oh yeah, that doesn't work, huh? Okay. Yeah, the real problem was just I forgot how to use ping. Okay. So
Yeah,
the
I've
site
done that.
is up. Um, and when I do a curl to just app.saturnci.com, I get a 302, so that's fine. And I'm just curious, what happens when I go to API v1 builds? Okay, I get unauthorized. That is not surprising. Okay. Um, Let me try to manually connect. Um, like let me do basic auth on the command line. Um, so I'll get my own user ID. Oh, hang on a second. My user ID and my API token. Okay. And here's my curl command. And I'm going to ask basic auth curl command. Okay. By the way, a lot of people are way more verbose with ChatGPT than they need to be. You usually can just paste in a couple things and like almost treat it like a Google search and it'll figure out what you're talking about. Okay. Oh, I can just use these I can interpolate the environment variables. I didn't have to expose my credentials to the world like I did just now. Um Okay, interesting. When I do this curl command, it works just fine. Okay. So there's something that's different between doing the curl command and doing this Ruby request. There's something different between the curl command and the Ruby request, and the Ruby request is not working.
Can you show us how you got to building up your request?
Yeah. So here's the request.
So you just instantiated the class and then your request there is that method. Okay.
Yeah. So let's try this. Let's do something a bit more basic. Um, I'm going to make a new Ruby script. Um, I'm going to do this. Yep. And for the URI, I'm going to hard code um, this, and I'll do Ruby connect.rb. Oh yeah, and I'm going to have to require that.
Mhm.
Okay. Whoops, I did URL on accident. Okay. Um, request equals, and then puts request dot response. Okay, I did that wrong somehow. Okay, this is how we send a request apparently. Okay, URI.hostname, URI.port. Okay.
I
Uh-huh.
going back to the code. Um, can you go back to the code? You see the send request?
Yeah.
Um, it's almost like does when you do the line 20 and then you wrap with a do, and then on line 26 you start from the get class again. It is there some type of like is the authentication getting rewritten somehow? Do we need to call dot new in that dot start like that's where I think I'm looking and not understanding how the object works between the two. That's my so
Yeah.
that's what stream. I think if you're going to streamline on one straight up script that's not calling different methods, I would copy those both and just having one long script going to prove that it works.
Okay. I'm not sure I completely understand yet. Um, um, yeah, can you run that
Yeah.
by me
So
again?
let so I think you just copy most. Sorry, go back to the connect, the new file,
Mm-hmm.
the connector IB. Um, so on the other file, it seems to me, well, let's try to execute this. Maybe this will just give us more information.
Okay. Ah, okay. Connection reset by peer. All right. So whatever the problem is, this script has the problem.
Um, now, if you, so I think my in my development flow, I would just copy this with the error and throw in ChatGPT and see what it would say. But my
Oh
instincts
yeah.
telling me that something around restarting the line 9 there.
Yeah, I'm guessing it'll just give me some bullshit again that doesn't really help, but we'll see. I found that ChatGPT is often not great at diagnosing bugs. Instead of actually pinpointing what the problem is, it takes an approach of like, make sure you did this step right, and this step right, and this step right, or it just makes like wild guesses. Okay. Okay, it's guessing it could be due to a missing SSL configuration. I don't think that is. Oh, okay. SSL true. Interesting. Okay. Nope, that doesn't do it.
I think
Okay.
it's used SSL, the param name, and
Oh, huh.
it's unclear to
Yeah,
me.
thanks.
It feels like maybe it's hallucinating because I've never seen that one. Do you know?
Well, that did make the error go away.
Oh,
Okay. Now, how do I output something here? Um, Saturn CI CLI API request. Okay. Response equals, and then puts response. Okay, puts response dot body. Wonderful. Okay. So good job, ChatGPT. I take back all those bad things I said about you. Okay, so now what if I do this? Holy shit. Okay. I'll do that again so you can see it. Okay. Now that is fantastic. I'm gonna commit what I just did.
but before you do, there
Uh-huh.
was one thing that you said that it was interesting to me, which was like, I don't know what's going on. I wish I had more information, right? Because connected reset by peers like not enough. Is
Hmm.
and I saw in the debug on the ChatGPT there was some type of like output. If you had put in that verbose output there that was on ChatGPT, would the error be more explicit? Like, is it worthwhile exploring that avenue? Because if later on, like maybe this is not a code base that like hundreds of people are going to touch, but like if you, someone have a problem in that vicinity and had more information would speed them up next time.
Mm. Yeah, that's very close to the thought process that I had at the beginning. Um, and the reason I'm choosing not to add more observability to it, like I said that I might do, um, is because okay, I have a little bit more information than you guys do because I'm familiar with the history of the project, of course. Um, before the CLI was only operating on localhost with no SSL. And then I pointed it at production, which does use SSL. And so this entire problem was just a missing SSL config. And that is kind of like a one-time change. Like I'm never going to have that problem again. And so that's why I chose not to add more observability is because I'm judging this problem to be a kind of problem that is very unlikely to occur again.
What about if somebody joins the project and is doing local development and doing something with the CLI interface?
Mm,
Do you need like an environment variable at least that says you don't have to use SSL when you're local?
um, I think if and when that happens, it'll be a very long time from now. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I only see the CLI being used for myself for a very long time. Um, okay, let me just take a look at what I changed. A lot of this was just changing single quotes to double quotes. Okay, I'm gonna fill this connect.rb. I'm gonna say, oh, by the way, have I done something on this branch? No, I was gonna do this on a separate branch, but I think I won't even do that because it's just one commit. Fix CLI by adding SSL config. Okay. Okay. And now if I do builds, we might even see this new build show up in a second. Yeah, there we go. Fix CLI by adding SSL config. All right. So there's another way in which the CLI is broken. Um, there's an entity that I used to call jobs, but now I call it runs. So the CLI refers to jobs. Oh, this still actually works. Okay. I did perform my rename in such a way that it was backward compatible, so I could still say jobs. Um, but I want to change that to runs because that's the new name.
Can you show us, before you move on, can you
Hmm.
show us just like some of the infrastructure of the CLI itself? Like, did you end up using one of the like libraries for that? Or do you know what I mean? Like, did you just throw everything in bin? Like, how did you build that out?
Yeah, good question. This is all custom. Um, it's not Rails at all, it's just Ruby. And I put it in the lib folder. Um, Saturn CI client. Um, so kind of the main thing that everything goes through is this execute method,
Yeah,
and that
nice.
will parse your command and send it to wherever it needs to get sent. And basically all it does is it looks at your command and then routes it to the correct API endpoint.
Yeah.
And then once it gets the response, it formats it the way it needs to be formatted. Um, so here we can see the reference to job, and we can change this to run. Can I just do a global search and replace? It looks like I can. Okay. And we'll see if that much works just by itself. Okay. Something went wrong. I wonder if my endpoint is still jobs. Okay. No job endpoint. Interesting. All right. So it looks like I'm getting a 404 here. Okay. Um, Now what is it doing? I am running SaturnCI runs. Okay. When runs, runs. All right. So it's sending a request to runs. Okay. Um, let's add some more for verbose output. We'll output the URI. Okay. And I'm going to try that just via curl and see if it works. Okay, it looks like it does not work. Yep, not found. That is fascinating. Okay. Um, okay, there is no runs controller apparently. API v1 controllers jobs controller. I saw it right there. Okay, so this is something that I haven't renamed yet. Let me fix that. So before I do any of this stuff, I'm going to back up. I'm going to do a git stash. And first of all, let's see, is this most recent stuff even passing? No, it's not passing. All right, so let's get that squared away first. Okay, so in this most recent change, I broke something. So before anything, I'll fix that. line 19. Okay, expected bad credentials, but nothing was raised. Interesting. Okay. Let's go to Saturn CI CLI client. Okay, I'm gonna search for bad credentials. Okay, and here's where it's supposed to raise bad credentials. So let me put a binding.pry here. It didn't even get there. Okay, let's put the pry right here. Oh, I know why. Um, I took out what I realized is a very important line. Um, it would make a request upon initialization. Yeah. Yeah, I did that because I wanted it to be so if you just did Saturn CI, it would show you the builds by default. But that's not working. Um, oh yeah, maybe I want to do this. Builds. There we go. Okay. So I had recklessly made that change as part of my last change. I just threw it in there, even though it was unrelated, which was a poor choice on my part. Okay, now we're getting a new error on line 37. When there's a raw error, it does not raise a bad credentials error. Okay, but we do get an error. Client line 39. Okay, we'll put a pry here. Didn't even get there. Um, okay, let's go to here. Let's put a binding.pry here. Doesn't get there. Okay, let's put a binding.pry here. Amazing. Okay. So we're stubbing this request to the builds endpoint. It's returning a 500. Okay, let's put a binding.pry here. This is fascinating. Oh, okay, because it says undefined method pry. Okay. Because this is outside of Rails, it doesn't have pry. All right, so let's go back to where I was originally trying to put this, which is right here. Okay, now it works. Response. Response.body. Okay. So I think I can just add a guard clause that says return if response dot that code equals 500. Okay, so now that passes, and now all these tests pass. Okay. Oh, and I don't need that pry in there, so let me get rid of that.
But would it cause to fail silently if you have other problems?
For a 500 error.
Yeah, maybe at least you should do puts or something. Like how do you know?
It would fail silently. Hmm. Yeah, good idea. Good idea.
You can like call a different method in underneath there, like and still return or something. Yeah, I don't know.
There, I'll do that. I assume the test will still pass. There. Okay. Okay. And now we can turn our attention to the thing I wanted to do before, which was what again? Oh yeah, rename that controller. Okay. I don't know how it was working if there was no reference to jobs in the routes. Oh, in the API. Okay. So I'll change this to runs. Okay. What about the test for this one? Okay, I don't see it. I'm going to run all the API tests. Seems kind of stuck on something. Interesting. Okay, and we do get some failures. Okay, API v1 job path. Yeah. So let's place job with run.
That's one of my large gripes with nicknames for routes. Like it's like that refactoring there is painful. And in a large code base, it's like really, really challenging.
Oh yeah. Okay, something went wrong. And it's like so far up that I can't see it. Can I do this? Okay. Expected 200, but was 404. Okay. Interesting.
Was it runs or job? No, yeah, run. Okay.
Okay, jobs runs, job run. It was just 1 to 1. Okay. Let's do this. Okay, so I have these job machine endpoints. That's fine. That's not related. Okay, and here's my run related endpoints. Um,
You end up translated to runs. Show no, if you want run, yeah, if you want run, the nickname. It looks correct, right?
yeah, PIV1 run path. Yes. Okay, let's do this. Um, API v1 runs controller. Oh, I didn't change the file name. Um, okay, let's try it now. Okay. Well, that was kind of a subtle error. Okay, now it works. I'm going to check in my build from before and see if it's passing. We can't tell yet. All right. Okay. This runner passed. Okay, this one didn't pass. All right, so I'm not going to do this yet. I'm going to stash this. I want to fix this failure before I do anything new. It's kind of interesting that that one didn't come up before, at least not that I saw. A invalid date. Interesting. I suspect that there's something else going wrong upstream. Uh-huh. Okay. All right, so where is it getting this invalid date? Display helpers 22. Okay. Okay, datetime.parse value. Let's see what value is. Value is an empty string. Okay. And why is it an empty string now, whereas it was not an empty string before? Okay, it's only asking for columns branch name, commit hash, and commit message. No dates. Okay, client.builds, and we're passing columns.
I think I saw that we needed to build outputs. The last line was like an unknown string or something like that. Would this error be related to the output from build again?
I don't know. Um, so it's doing this display table and passing in the options. Okay, and where is formatted datetime getting called? Nowhere in here. Okay. Hmm. I have a slight suspicion that we still have some job run issues in here. Um, okay. Hmm. Okay, yeah, let's try, I guess. But then that's gonna mess up. Maybe we have to make all these changes at once. Okay, get stash pop. I'm curious, what if I run the same one now that these changes are here? We get the same error. Okay. I'm gonna do this. Okay. All right, so here's all the Saturn CAI CLI files that mention job. It's just these three. I'm going to open them all up, and anywhere we have job, we'll replace it with run. Okay. I'm going to guess that that didn't fix anything. Right.
You probably have to rename the file too.
Oh. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Good call. Run table column definitions. Okay. Okay, same problem still. Let's go to that test. Okay, let me try this. Oh, it didn't get there. Oh, yeah, let me do this. It didn't get there. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, it didn't even get there. Okay, so there's something that's like in the setup
Is it
that's causing the
because
issue.
when you call the new, it's like calling the builds method and is an initialization on line 30, 28?
That seems like it may well be the case. Um, okay, let's do this. Yep. Okay. So if I take that out, what happens? Okay, it gets past it. Wonderful. Okay. Oh yeah, so it's calling builds with no arguments and there's no date time. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna get rid of this builds thing because that is like just causing headaches. All right, so again, I'm gonna stash all this. Then I'm gonna go into the SaturnCI CLI client, get rid of builds, and then that's gonna make that one test fail again. But we can do that in a different way, I think. Okay, yep, so it's not saying bad credentials anymore. But we can probably,
Can you call the builds from the test instead of
yeah,
in
maybe
the
I'll just do
initialize?
that. Okay. Okay. Remove builds call. Okay. So now git stash pop, just run spec pass. Yes. Is that the only one that was failing among the API specs? I think I'm going to put this on a separate branch just because it's kind of a big change. Um, rename jobs controller to runs controller. All right, we'll wait a second for these tests to finish.
While we're waiting, I wanted to say that I've been bitten a couple of times by trying to overdo my initializers as well. And
Hmm.
I think that's a good example of which we were like forcing a side effect of we wanted to make a convenience for the CLI, right? That if I don't pass an argument, it's going to automatically do a build. But putting that in the initializer forced a side effect that, obviously created a whole bunch of other problems for us. So I think maybe the better place to put that is within your CLI itself. Like just set up a specific, another case statement or something like that. When there's no arguments, then I want you to specifically call build.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Um,
That's a good example to walk through, though.
yeah, lesson learned. Okay. So the runs controller looks fine, but we're still getting this error. All right, I'm gonna run that through less because there's just too much stuff there. Okay, expected 200. There's an error on line 21, run spec line 21. Okay, the response is apparently weird. Okay, expected 200, but was 500. Let's tail the logs. Okay, runs controller line 6, missing template. Oh, okay. Yes, I think we do have app views API v1. Yep, and we have jobs there. App views API v1.
Oh, you probably have to rename the directory from runs to jobs, or yeah, the one
Yeah,
that holds the
exactly.
view.
Okay, wonderful. Okay. Um, Now we can commit and push this. Okay. Push that just now, right? Yeah. Okay, and just out of curiosity, can I do, does the CLI like still work at all? Okay, that worked. Okay, runs is not working. Okay, let's do some diagnostics here. Let's um let's do puts endpoint runs. Okay, let's do something a little more detailed. Puts URI. Okay, app.SaturnCI. Oh, I haven't deployed it yet. That's why. 'Cause we're hitting production.
But this is what I was saying, Jason. You need to be able to hit local when you're developing.
Yeah, that's a good point. Um,
I'm just
okay.
half joking too, because I agree it's fine because you're wanting this tool to just like be something for you to do on production. That's fine. And what
Hmm.
you did is fine and stuff. But like this, I think this might continue to come up. We'll keep forgetting or something like that as we mess around with it.
Yeah, you could be right. Um, and that makes me curious. Can I go to, okay, Saturn CI CLI client? Can I point it to localhost? And will it just work?
Yeah, that's a good thought.
No. Oh, okay, because
No
SSL was
SSL.
on.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So there's maybe two variables right there.
I mean, for your intents and purposes, it's so small that you can just put use SSL in into a variable, and then just use the or even do the Rails dot production question mark and pass it as
Yeah,
true or false.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Um, okay, now it's saying bad credentials.
But that's because you're
Um,
hitting local, right?
oh, yep, good point. Yeah, so I don't think I even want to mess with hitting it locally. I'll just deploy it so I can hit the endpoint. But deployments never work when I'm doing a Zoom call for whatever reason. I think maybe bandwidth issues, so I can't do that right now.
Hmm.
Also, we're right about at time, so I might call it a day uh, for today and then pick back up next time. Um,
Cool. That was
any
a fun one.
final thoughts before we go?
I'm just
No, that was
curious
good.
what do you use for deploy. If you could just you using Kamal
This project, I think, predates Kamal. I'm using Kubernetes.
Kubernetes, cool.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. Well, thanks guys for coming. And oh, sorry, Brandon, you were maybe starting to say something.
No, I was just saying this is a good one. Thanks. Had fun.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, thanks everybody. See you next
Nice
time.
meeting you guys. Yep. See ya.